before you copy and paste that incredible tweet that you have in the LinkedIn and Instagram, give me 5 minutes and I'll show you how to take one idea and turn it into truly platform native content. Hey, Cal here. Appreciate you all joining me. If you're a content creator and you're constantly looking for what should I post next, this is the place for you. Welcome. So, look, if you're like me and you build things, you already know what the problem is: distribution. A wise man once said, first time founders are obsessed with product, and second time founders are obsessed with distribution. And in our digital world, that largely means organic social content. So, what's the easiest thing that we do, right? You write something brilliant, you reflow it down to all your other feeds, you copy, paste, trim, make sure you're within the character limit, and then you hit post. But unfortunately for us, reflowing is not really repurposing, it's just resizing. And your followers, they can tell. Every platform has a different reader contract, right? There's different expectations, there's a different experience, right? Whether you're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, it really depends on your platform. Here's the thing though, right? Like you already know how to fix this because many of you all fix this exact problem in code all the time. So think about how a compiler works, right? You don't compile your source code straight to 5 different architectures with 5 separate parsers. You compile to an intermediate representation first, one clean verified middle layer, and then you generate native content per target. So in my mind, content works the exact same way, right? So the middle layer is what I like to call the iron. It's your story, it's your angle, it's the receipts. You get that part squared away first, and then any platform specific shaping kind of happens after that. So you get that iron right, like that refined piece of iron. Like what is your messaging? What is your argument? What's the story you want to go with? You get that right, and then downstream, every piece of content that you write afterwards will inherit that. So your argument will stay constant and consistent. So that's kind of what makes your feed feel like very coherent, right? People following you on one platform will hear the same message as people on another platform, except that piece of content is tailored specifically for that platform. So I like the terminology iron because I like to think about it going through a forge, right? So if you find the story, you figure out what you want to say about it or your angle, you've got like your receipts, where the information came from, how can you stand on what you actually post? And then once you get that refined iron, you can build products out of it, right? You can make cars, you can make rebar, you can make steel, whatever you need to make out of that iron. And those products essentially are, at least in this, long-winded metaphor, are your different social content feeds, like the things that you're actually posting. So what are the targets, right? Every platform is an interface with its own schema. That's the way I like to think about it. And each one expects something a little bit different. Like X is more of a relay, a short, pithy statements. Each tweet has to hand tension to the next one if you think about it from a thread perspective. And the first one's got to be good enough that it can stand on its own because people might not even make it to the second one, right? Usually the first one that gets ends up getting screenshotted and shared. But LinkedIn is a little bit different, right? It's more of a professional audience. It might be some of your peers and colleagues from your day job. You've got that one line above the fold. You got a scroll stopping line first, and then it kind of breathes a little bit, and you got white space. So, long form, right? If you think about like, Medium or Substack, WordPress, wherever you might be publishing your long form content, this is the one place that you really get to argue, right? You got a nut graph up top, one of my favorite only in journalism words, and then you build it. So that's where the architecture write up really lives, right? It's really in that long form. That in some ways is a lot of bit of what your iron turns out to be. And then you got to think about reels. Like reels are like a totally different visual format. We got motion, voice, timing, captions, 4 different platforms that I'm talking about here. And there's like 4 different grammars, 4 different languages, but you can maintain that same iron underneath so that there's like continuity between each one. So let's bring this to life for a little bit. I'll show you, running this for real. This is my actual desk. This product is called Niche. This is what I built. I gave it one story off the beat from this morning. I mean, I was interested in just, generally, if you guys follow me at all, you'll know that I'm interested in just the big labs, frontier labs, like what's happening in AI. There's constant changes pretty much every single day. And so Today was more about like just kind of the backlash around pricing with GPT 5.6, like the new releases, right, from OpenAI, with Sol Luna and Terra, and just folks that are using it and the pricing not necessarily matching what they're paying in actual token costs. So that's what this story is about. But I'm just using it as an example, right? So you can see, we already picked the story. This is the angle selection stage. Really cool, right? It gives you a couple different things that you can stand on, ideas around like, okay, this is the actual stance that I want to take on this particular topic. And so this is part of the iron being forged, right? So we got the story, and now we're going to pick kind of what our stance is on that story. So once we got that locked in, you'll start to see things populate on the screen, right? So this is the iron, right? So we've got the main story, we've got one main idea, we've got one main argument, but you could put this on X, you could do a thread on X, you could do a LinkedIn post, you could do long form, and then of course you can make a reel. So each one is written to that same contract that we talked about before, right? It is specific to that particular platform. It's in my voice. It's got my brand profile, and so you'll see I got the LinkedIn post up right now. I generally like posting on X and LinkedIn mostly. Um, LinkedIn gives you a little bit more space to breathe, I think. I love the way that you could put the images into both of those platforms. It looks really good when it's all polished and done. But look at the white space, right? You can almost feel it showing out here. So what you'll continue to notice, right? This is the filing sheet again. Watch the hook swap. Like that's the important part. So it's like the same piece of content, but there's a different opening line for each one. And that's because it's different platforms, right? Like they have different contracts. They expect different things. And so one thing I'll give you guys, if you decide to use niche, there's a bit of an Easter egg in here. If you just ask the platform to provide you with the iron, just like say, hey, look up this story, give me the iron, or tell me what's going on today. Just take me to the iron. It'll know exactly what you mean, first off, and it will pull all your stories. It'll, you select the story you want, you select the angle you want, and then you'll get direct to the filing sheet, and that filing sheet will just be the iron itself. And then at that point, you kind of become a master craftsperson, and you're saying, yep, let me get one X, let me get one LinkedIn post. All right, let's turn that into a reel. All right, I want a generated image. Okay, I need a design infographic type of thing. And you could do all that from this one interface. And then, what's up on the screen right now is like a pretty cool X preview to essentially show you exactly what the post that you're about to put out will look like. So pretty cool stuff there. All right. This is ones for everybody who thinks like if you're operating primarily on Instagram or somewhere in the visual space, you could take that same iron, same story, your same argument, and you could turn it into a reel in one button click. So you got the motion, the voice, the timing, boom. And now it's a reel that you could post to your feed to all your followers. So I'm gonna let that run here for just a second.
OpenAI published the pricing. Developers built cost models on it. Then the invoices arrived. Output tokens are reportedly billed at roughly 9 times actual generation. That is not a rounding error.
To the voiceover, phrase by phrase. You'll notice like the voice itself is actually, it's like speaking in the language that I use because it's got my brand voice is saved in my brand kit. That's a part of the product as well if you guys want to try it out. This took probably about 2 minutes, maybe 2.5 minutes or so to all come together and render everything. Yeah, it's good stuff. So the long form piece, love long form, wanted to be a journalist when I was growing up. So the cool thing about the long form is like, right here, what you see on the screen, this is a 860-ish word article, nut graph up top. You got sections, you got the pull quote, the whole build is there, right? Like this is with your edits, and you can edit it right here in the field, but with your edits ready to go to your Substack, Medium, WordPress, your own blog, like whatever you're putting out to your followers, like your newsletter, like this thing is ready to go. Clean text, paste it wherever you want to paste it to, wherever your readers live, it's yours. So I'm going to give you something like, even if you decide, hey, niche is not for me right now, even though you should just try it out, right? Get a free trial, see what it can do for you. It's pretty dope. But even if you don't use it, right, still the method anyway, and because it does work by hand. So like there's about 4 steps and try to keep it simple, right? So one, write the claim that you have in one sentence before you write anything else. Because look, there's a lot of voices out there. So if you're going to be posting content on a regular basis, like you have to say something. So you need to write what your claim is down. Like you need to know what your opinion is about the particular subject. You write that piece down. Boom. That's number one. Two, you need to have your receipts. So the links, the numbers, the quotes, all of that type of stuff goes along with number one. And that becomes your iron. So now you get like, we got my stories, this is what I'm going to say about it. And then I've got like the receipts themselves that say like, all right, this is what backs up, that let everybody know that what I'm putting out is actual factual stuff. So three, pick the couple of platforms where your people actually are, where your followers are the largest. And then you can do 2 or 3 of them really, really good as opposed to doing 5 of them poorly. And then, write each piece top down, like from the iron itself. You never want to like just straight copy and paste. I'm telling you, you don't want to go, LinkedIn copy paste, drop it in the X and then just start chopping off words. Like it just doesn't come off the same. Like the audience is different. They're expecting to see different things. It just doesn't work as elegantly. And there's options, right? Niche is an option, or you could follow this program right here, and this will help you do it as well. So that's it, just like that. And if you want, look, like if you want to do the pipeline and not do it manually, that's literally what I built, right? Like I had the same problem. I wanted to be able to do this in a more automated fashion. So Niche is the product. It'll watch your beat overnight, put this stuff in your inbox for you. It'll forge that iron for you and hand you like native pieces by the morning. Niche, it's nicheangle.com, free to start, no card. I'll see you at the next one.